Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Interact podcast. My name is Josh Hainum. I'm the co founder and CEO at Interact. Today, I'm joined by Adam Christing. Adam's an author, a speaker, has a really cool new book that's coming out, and the founder of The Clean Comedians. And today, we're going to talk about your quiz, but then we're going to talk about your business and all that kind of stuff. But let's start off by telling us about your quiz because it's one of the coolest ones I've seen in a while. It's really fun and I've enjoyed taking it. I think I've taken it twice now. So tell us about that, and then we'll go from there.
Thank you, Josh. Did you take it twice because you didn't like the result the first time?
No, I took it twice because I was like, this is genuinely something that feels meaningful to me on a
Mm.
personal level. I feel like it probably feels meaningful to a lot of people. I'm sure you've heard that feedback. But just the idea of humor and laughter as like medicine in a way,
No,
like it's
truly
important.
is.
And so that's why I
Y-
took it twice.
And I've been a comedian, speaker, MC for decades. And sometimes I have to stop and say, I need to enjoy what I'm giving out. Sometimes as business owners, entrepreneurs, salespeople, we can always be thinking of how we serve our clients. And sometimes I have to step back and say, I need to laugh too. So believe it or not, I was surprised by the results of the test myself when I took it. It's the 5 laugh languages. I'll give you a quick backdrop. There was a book that's still selling. It's called The 5 Love Languages, sold like 20 million copies. Dr. Gary Chapman, brilliant book. And so we gave a copy to our youngest son, James, and he's now 21. And, hey, buddy, what is your love language? And he said, Dad, it's Venmo. So that was fascinating. But this whole concept of discovering, like, I believe everybody has a unique sense of humor. So the quiz is designed to help people identify which of the 5 laugh languages that I unpack in my book best suits you. So this might be what makes you laugh, or even more so, your tendency of humor. Like, do you like one of the laugh languages is wordplay. So people who are like punsters and they're into dad jokes and clever, witty sayings, they gravitate toward that. And another laugh language, turns out I thought mine would be wordplay because I do love language, but mine is surprise. And the great thing about that one is even if you're not an entertainer or a speaker person, we can give surprising gifts. We can say or do things that catch people off guard in a positive way, hopefully. And what happens is they laugh.
Yeah, I mean, you did it right there with the Venmo. That was
Yeah.
a perfect surprise moment. Like, that is hilarious. I was not expecting that at all. And it's like, honestly, probably true for most kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like,
But I want to tell you, Josh, I'm so pleased with your company and the service. And, this is not a paid endorsement. I'm just a genuine fan and customer. We're so delighted. And you mentioned young people. I have 4 kids. My youngest daughter, Katie, who's in her early 20s, she found your company and she took the material from my book and turned it into the quiz. And I'm like, yeah, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. It'll be cool. But people are posting it, reposting it on social media. People are, they're actually building connections with each other, saying like, "Oh, your laugh language is amplify." People who like to tell stories and kind of exaggerate details are like, "That's my laugh language too." So it's been a real community builder.
that's really great. I mean, we intended for it to be a thing that creates human connection
Yeah,
between, brands or businesses and then their customers, but it's cool that it's also building human connection between the people who are taking it because then, one of your results is in group. That's like a laughter style.
yeah.
That's mine. And what you're talking about there is also like in group of this is your laughter style and we're all in this little group together because we have the same style.
I think, Josh, you might have my favorite laugh language. I do use it. And by the way, just because you gravitate toward one laugh language doesn't mean you can't use all 5. We can tap into all 5 of them. But the one you're talking about, I call in jokes, when you have like an inside shared experience with someone. So like over the years, I've worked at many comedy clubs, but if I got up there and said, hey, let's talk about the printer in our office and how it keeps malfunctioning and about the time that Tom, photocopied the ham sandwich, like no one's going to laugh at the comedy store. But in our offices, in our families, in our communities, those inside jokes, those like you said, in group, where we feel like we're part of a special group. So yeah, that might be my favorite of the 5 humor tactics.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I have some like long running text threads with friends of just like an inside joke that's been going for 15 years. And it's like,
I have one with a friend where, I mean, I haven't seen this guy in over 10 years, but literally, if I were just to say the word genre, because of this backstory we have, he would just start busting up and nobody else would
yep,
get it.
yep.
And so it's almost like, well, companies have acronyms and unique sayings and phrases. So when I'm hired to speak in front of an audience, I try to get all that inside scoop. I try to get the acronyms and like, turns out, Mike, the head of sales, is a terrible golfer and he wears funny sweaters. And I find out, is he cool with me, teasing him a little bit? And that leads me to one of the other languages, which is poke. And this is where you use what I call self-effacing humor, not self-defeating humor, where you're just like ripping on yourself, but where you just admit, I've messed up, I've had failures and flops. And then you find out if other people are good sports, and this is where nicknames come in. So the ideal thing is if you can mix several of these laugh languages, and I think the quiz helps people see, oh yeah, there are these different types of humor. It's not just having a Netflix, stand-up special.
Yeah, yeah. And I think, right now you've got the one result that's shown, but what I've seen other people do with similar quizzes is do like a custom result page. So right now you
Mhm.
got the one inside of Interact, but you can redirect it to your own landing page. And then what they'll do is they'll give the full description of yours, and then they'll just list the other ones and be like curious about
That's
the other
good.
ones. And then
That's
then you
good.
can link to the other pages.
I
Um,
like it. Yeah.
I think that would be really great. How did you come up with these 5? Because they feel very resonant with people, and it's like hard to do, right? Because there's only 5 of them, and there's 8.5 billion people. How does
Yeah.
that work?
Yeah, that's a great question. Any other questions?
I
No,
mean, that's
I'm just-
that's that's.
no, that's a deep
We'll,
question.
we'll we'll just go on this for the next 3 hours.
Well, I'll give you the answer. In my work over several decades, I've literally been in front of 4,000 different audiences,
Hmm.
and so I've been able to see like, oh, this poking and teasing fun at the boss, that really works, and then doing something surprising. Like I also have a background in doing magic. And one time I saw this guy in Hollywood, California. He was one of the great sleight of hand guys. He was not a humorous guy at all.
Hmm.
He kind of reminded people of, like their woodshop teacher, something very straight. But when he would like make a card fly or disappear, people would start laughing. So that planted in my mind, okay, surprise is definitely one of the laugh languages. And so I've been studying humor. And the crazy thing, Josh, is when you analyze humor, it's not so funny. So with my book, The Laughter Factor, I tried to have this balance of like actually have examples of jokes, icebreakers, puns, different ways you can see what I'm talking about. And then the quiz just kind of brings it to life.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. Like when you analyze anything too much, it stops
Yeah,
being like
that's right.
that entertaining. That entertaining. So yeah, I mean that makes a lot of sense. It's kind of the same story that I hear from a lot of folks, where it's like, yeah, there's a lot of exposure to people, and then you start to see these like archetypes or patterns emerge of the different, laughter types in this case. And then how did you work backwards from there to figure out, okay, what do I need to ask somebody to figure out which type they are? Because I think the way you ask your questions is also really good, because you let people choose multiple answers on each question,
Right.
which people really appreciate that, because it's like, I don't know exactly which one I am.
Yeah.
So how did that all come to be?
Well, as I was researching the book, well, I'll give you a quick backstory. I originally
Yeah.
pitched this book to various publishers, not mainly being about humor, but being about how you draw people together. So it was a book more about group building, interaction, forming a sense of community. And they said, Adam, we like this and we might be interested in publishing it, but your real expertise is how you use humor to do that. So the book was and is intended really for people in leadership, speakers, authors, teachers, preachers, salespeople, anyone who needs to communicate and connect. And then I started realizing, oh, there are these different tools of the trade. And having hung out with many comedians, like I've worked with literally over 100 comedians, to see that it's not just one style. It's not just someone up there going, hey, have you been to the 7-Eleven lately? I mean, that's one style. There's observational humor. So I tried to I created a chapter for each of the laugh languages. And then at the end of each section in the book, there's an even longer form of the quiz there. But when my daughter helped me discover Interact, it was like, oh my gosh, this makes the book come alive, because now we can actually experience it in real time. I hope they'll still buy the book because they can go do a much deeper dive and see more examples of it. And the last chapter of the book talks about leading with laughter. And this is where I give tips on, how to present your humor, what to do when you're nervous, what to do when your attempt at humor flops. At the beginning, I talk about something, Josh, that a lot of people have mentioned to me. They're like, oh, I'm just not funny. And I want to help dispel that myth, because if you look at the word humor and the word human, it's the same root. So I believe everybody has a sense of humor. It's just feeling the freedom and the confidence to go for it.
Yeah, I mean, that makes me think of a lot of things, but the one that's immediately there is just like, do you think that it's because there's one predominant version of humor that gets shown a lot on like television, and then if somebody doesn't feel like they have that type, then they don't think they're funny?
Yeah, it's like anything. So for example, you did not invent quizzes. You've just mastered how to present them and package them so beautifully. But a professional comedian, the myth that people have about it is they think, oh, she's just hilarious. And maybe she is. But the reality is she's probably done that same set 100, 200 times in front of different audiences. And she's cut it down. She's stretched this. And so it's polishing. Excuse me. So just like in any field, we get better by doing it over and over. So sometimes people go, okay, I'm going to try a joke, but they're real tentative about it and they share it. They don't get a big laugh. And so then they can kind of punish themselves and say, oh, I'm just not funny. But when you're in your zone using your laugh language, so for example, another one of them is I mentioned poke. If you learn to tell a story about yourself where you flopped, like I'll give you a quick example. Years ago, when I was in Los Angeles, I raised some money, made an independent film, like a mockumentary, kind of like Spinal Tap or Best in Show, if you've seen movies like that. And because I was the producer, co-writer, I cast myself in the movie. And when we got into post-production, my acting was so bad, I got cut out of my own movie and became the narrator of the film. So I could go up there and tell a story about, hey, I made this movie and I'm really talented. But when I tell a story like that, I notice people go, oh, he can laugh at himself. So I say, beat the rush, laugh at yourself first. Then you can gently poke and tease other people, because now they feel like this trust, like, okay, I like this person and I'm going to follow what they have to say because they've been vulnerable. And this is kind of a corny word, but I'm proud of it. I came up with this term, authenticity, where you're combining your humor with just being transparent with people.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I mean, it that's where my mind was going as you were talking there, is like it does sound like a lot of vulnerability, which then the next step feels like shame. So how do you like help people navigate that, where it's like, what if I am vulnerable with my humor and I'm self-deprecating, and then people just turn around and make fun of me or don't think it's funny? How does that work?
Yeah, that's a tricky one. I think the key is the distinction between self-effacing humor. It's also called self-deprecating humor. I try to avoid that word because it sounds like you're going to the restroom or something. But self-effacing humor is where you basically share a story, almost like the classic movie, right? Like where something tragic or challenging's happen, and then there's an overcoming. And so by starting with your weakness, I love this saying, Josh. Intimacy means intimacy. So when you open up and talk about how you couldn't get a date in college or how your car kept breaking down and you were missing payments, there's some flop in your life. When you can laugh at that, I don't think anybody feels like, oh, that person's an idiot. They actually see themselves. We see ourselves in each other's failures. And where it's even trickier, though, is when you're teasing other people. So I have a rule of 3 things to avoid. They're all P letter words: no profanity, no prejudice, and no politics. And so that's one of the reasons that I work clean. And we started this company, Clean Comedians, because what a lot of people don't know is you don't have to rely on vulgarity if you go with variety. So you could have a fun contest at work. You could have a crazy costume party in the middle of July. You can do a dad joke competition. There's all kinds of ways you could have fun in mixing things up with variety. But another thing that TV, I think, taught us was, you have to be dirty or shocking to get a laugh. But I grew up in Los Angeles, and there was this club still there called the Magic Castle. It's a really cool private club. So as a young man, I got exposed to like comedy magic, juggling, variety acts, ventriloquism, impressions. I just saw all this stuff. I'm like, wow, there's so many ways that you can share the gift of humor.
Yeah, I like that variety over vulgarity. Like, you don't, if it's new or novel, it doesn't need to be so extreme. And then you can actually still draw a laugh just because it's something that's surprising.
And Josh, I want to give you an example of this right now. I think one of the things that's so magical about what you do with the quizzes is that the unbelievable power, and it's in the name of your company, right? But the power of interacting. And so I found this. It's a pack of cards, and I've sealed it with a rubber band. And Josh, I'm going to mentally send you, and you can tell our friends watching, listening, we didn't set this up, right? We didn't talk about this. I made a prediction inside this pack of cards, and I want to see if we can bond for a moment with our brains here. And the one card that's upside down in this pack, do you think that card is red or black?
First thought was black.
Okay, great. So we'll go with black.
Yeah.
Now, are you imagining there's 2 suits that are black, spades and clubs. Which one comes to your mind?
Spades.
Okay, spades. Great. So now we have from ace of spades all the way to king of spades. Do you want a face card or a number card?
Face card.
Okay, so you chose black, you chose spades. Now your options are jack, queen, or king of spades.
King.
Okay, king of spades. Now here's a fun joke I say if I'm in front of a live audience. I say, do you want to change your mind or keep the mind you have? So I'm going to let you confirm the king of spades or pick a completely different card. Now, these are still sealed with a rubber band. Do you want to lock in the king of spades or pick a completely different card? Up to you, Josh.
Let's switch it to be the ace of spades.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Okay. Now think about this. This pack's been sealed. You've told our friends we didn't set anything up. Out of 52 cards, I'm going to change my setting here so you can see this a little bit better.
Yeah.
Open this pack up.
All right.
And out of 52 cards, there should be one card only, reversed in the pack. We go through the deck. Remember, I promised, I'm not saying one. Oh, there is one card flipped upside down. Now, originally you said the king of spades, but then you changed your mind at the last moment.
Yep.
So Interact friends, we just interacted with a little bit of magic, a little bit of surprise, because Josh's card is the ace of spades.
That's really cool.
Thanks, yeah, it's fun.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. When I'm on a platform in a small meeting or in front of several thousand people, moments like that where we just create a connection. And, I do a longer routine where there's lots of laughs and stuff, but that's one of the great things about what you're doing with quizzes is the power of participation.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's literally why we chose that name. It was like the idea of interacting with other people. And, the quiz is such a great medium for it because it feels more personal, even though it's on
Yeah.
the internet. And so, yeah, I really appreciate that you have made that connection and also brought it to life with the specific content that you have. Because that's the part that we don't have, right? It's like we don't have the brain that you have, the years of connecting with audiences that you have. That's like the magic that brings it to life, right? It's like you gotta have something unique there.
Yeah, but I'm excited to see it. I was on your site just seeing the different, like, I thought, oh, I never thought that that could be a quiz, but there's so many applications for it. But if I had to only keep one humor tool, it would be anything that goes back to participation. So rather than me just up there telling jokes, which can be very funny, not always, sometimes it can bomb, but I take a handheld microphone. In fact, check this out.
Hmm.
I actually keep one right here in my studio. But if I can have
Hmm.
a handheld microphone, go into an audience and interact with them, a couple things happen. One, it's this feeling of like, oh my gosh, like what's going to happen? And next is that participation, that interaction where it's not just me. I'm sharing the spotlight. I think that's part of the magic of your quizzes is it, even though obviously I want to promote my book, I want to promote my work, but it's a gift to other people to say, we're going to help you discover your laugh language.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to that idea of like if you help people get what they want, then they're more likely to help you get what you want, right? And if
Right.
what you want is to sell more copies of the book, that's kind of the goal in a lot of ways. Obviously, a lot of other goals, but that's like the goal here. First, you help people see how it's helpful to them, which is like, what's your laughter language? Find that, find how that helps you, how it helps you connect with other people. And then the book is a furtherance of that. I think that's
Right.
really well done. And you did do a really great job of that with this quiz.
Well, you just touched on something. I think we want to, excuse me, ease people in.
Hmm.
A lot of times we feel like I'm on LinkedIn a lot, and you'll get these private messages where I feel like I don't even know you, and you're pitching me like this whole thing and buy now. And those days of the hard sell are gone. And so I actually met the guy who invented the formula for Sun Chips. I don't know if you're a Sun Chips fan. I
Oh,
love
yeah.
love those things. And I don't know, probably a multi-billion-dollar industry. And I said to him, what has been the secret to your business success? And I thought he was going to say, it's the formula, it's the patent. And he said, business is relationships. And so with the quiz, I feel like we're going to make new relationships. We're going to deepen the relationships we already have. And we're going to get people feeling connected, not just to me and my work, but to each other.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think there's nothing new under the sun. I agree with that statement. But what does matter is like how many connections can you build out of it? How do you use whatever you've created, whether it's chips or a book or a software, to help people connect with each other? And how can you connect with people effectively? And that's like the differentiator, especially as we move into this like AI world where information is just even more accessible than it was before. Like information is no longer necessarily a differentiator, but information that's combined with relationships where it's like what you're talking about, where you've done 4,000 in-person experiences, and the information that now you're bringing to the table is informed by all those connections. That's very different than what a ChatGPT could tell you about, how to use humor.
You're so right. And obviously, in this world today, there's more content that we can't even, it's like taking a spoon to the ocean, right? We can't even get to it and don't want
Yeah.
to. But what we're craving most is human connection. And I have a brand new grandson. His name's Bryson, and to see the delight in his face, he's only a couple months old, but like to see his first smile, to see his mom, his dad's smile, it's like this. I think our very first bonding is obviously love and physical nurturing, but it's also this like, hey, you're alive, I'm alive. like we're astonished. And this is what surprised me about the quiz that you helped us develop was the power of delight. And I actually keep this in my office, this little mystery question mark thing, because sometimes finding the questions is even more exciting than finding the answers. So, for example, when someone shares the quiz, they might say, "Hey, my laugh language is surprise. What's yours?" But there's this curiosity factor, and I think the quiz generates this sense of like, I don't know what's going to happen next. Instead of if I go to Google or ChatGPT, I know I'm going to find an information dump on whatever I'm asking, and that's a cool thing. But the mystery of like, I don't fully know you, and you don't fully know me. Let's get to know each other.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point, drawing it all the way back to kind of like foundational psychology of human nature when you're first born. It's like that is a big part of it. And technology, in a lot of ways, doesn't facilitate that. It's like, look at me, I'm better than that, I'm better than, like, it's just this, kind of endless competition. Whereas what's really missing out of that is that ability to say, like, I want to learn about you and you want to learn about me. And that is, you're right, I share in your surprise about how well that works just in something as simple as a quiz. It doesn't seem like it would get so far, but it kind of does. It's obviously not the same as like having a conversation or someone reading your full book, but like it does get you a good amount of the way there. And I think, especially when you are able to make it really simple, which is something that you did really well in yours as well. Like, simple, it's straightforward. There's not too much going on there, but it does bring out that curiosity factor, which I think is
Yeah.
awesome.
And you touched on something about kind of our primal human nature. I think in our heart of hearts, we're storytellers. We are fascinated by hearing them and sharing them. And so I think an effective quiz, or really any effective marketing, gets into the recipient's head and heart and says, tell me your story. And the temptation for us, maybe if we're desperate to generate revenue or grow our businesses, to tell our story. But what we're experiencing with the quiz is like, tell us about you. We want to get to know you better. And when I'm on stage, sometimes I'll do a joke that doesn't get an immediate reaction, and then maybe 3 seconds later, laughs will start popping up, and I call them little joke grenades. And I think the quiz has that kind of impact where someone's like, "Okay, I'll take it," and then it's like, "Ping, ping!" Like, "Oh, whoa!" And so sparking imagination and conversation, it's hard to beat that.
Yeah, and I like that you said that. It's like, tell us about you, and you're totally right. Like, I can always tell, and I think your Sun Chips example was a great example of that. Like, the people that have really made it, they are not telling you about themselves. And I met a while back, met the CEO of Whole Foods, like the original founder.
Wow.
Same situation. Like, guy was just curious and like had a lot of questions for me. I think I met him when I was like 20. So I'm like, what are you asking me any questions for? But you do notice that it's like, as people kind of get more seasoned and more successful, they ask a lot of questions and they're endlessly curious. It's the people that are like struggling to make it work and really struggling to gain any traction that are like, let me tell you my story, let me tell you what I can offer. And it's just like, I don't I don't care. Like, not that I don't care about you as a person, but like,
Exactly.
just like your LinkedIn cold messages example, like, I don't know you and I don't necessarily care. Even if what you're offering me is something I would want, the
Yeah.
way that it's being approached feels off-putting. And so if you can ask people, that's powerful.
And I can tell, Josh, that and most comedians I know, by the way, are actually very deep thinkers, and sometimes even like a Robin Williams, maybe the most famous stand-up ever, he definitely had the gift of amplifying, but he was a very deep thinker. And one thing I believe is that we don't want a prescription until we've experienced a little bit of pain, meaning the pain
Mhm.
might be a small, like with a quiz, I think there's a tiny bit of like, well, I don't know my laugh language. or I don't know the answers to this historical question, whatever the quiz might be about. There's this little sense of like, there's something incomplete that I want resolution to. So the temptation for us in business is to just hit people with our prescription. But, if you went to the doctor and the doctor said, hey, I got great news, we can amputate your arm, you'd be like, what? But if they had done a diagnosis is like, removing your arm, sorry for the gross example,
No.
but removing your arm is going to save your life, right? So I think we need to give people a reason why they should care. And I think the quiz is such a elegant and fun way of starting this conversation. So what we're noticing is people are saying, well, we need more humor in our company, in our culture. And, but we don't start by hitting them with, our solution until we've kind of identified, I guess, long story short, I would say, listen before you talk. And what a great tool the quiz is to start a conversation where you can listen. Like when you mentioned that in jokes is your laugh language, it makes me curious to ask you. So I'll put you on the spot. Do you have an example of how you do that? Do you do that with friends or your coworkers where you have kind of inside stories?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have some friends from college. Well, I have friends from growing up too, where we also have a lot of in jokes. And
Yeah.
if you were to see us hanging out, you'd be like, "What is happening?" Like it's like a totally different language,
Yeah.
almost a completely different language. Like
Yeah.
I'd say the majority of the conversation doesn't make sense out of context. But for us, it's hilarious and it feels
Yeah.
so connecting because you're like, oh,
Totally.
this feels very comfortable. Life has gone on, gotten much more complicated. We're all running businesses or have high powered careers and it's stressful and there's a lot going on here in this kind of safe space between us. Like it's an in joke almost the whole time. And that's it's like comforting and connecting. And it's also funny. Like it's just endless
Oh,
laughs. And so
oh,
that's,
I bet
that's how
sometimes
it goes.
you guys can't even stop laughing. Like just
Yeah.
like it's kind of getting triggered in a positive way, right? Where it brings back a memory, which brings
Yep.
back another memory, which brings back a feeling of almost like we have our own little world together,
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I try to do that even if I'm speaking to hundreds of people at one time. I want to know who's someone who's loved in this organization. What are some frustrations? Might be a competitor that we can poke some fun at, or just something. How can we create a sense of camaraderie? And one of the keys that I talk about in my book is we don't want to laugh at people. We want to laugh with them. And so it's about creating this feeling of we're together in this. One time I
Mm.
checked into a hotel and I had a gig and I was exhausted like a red eye. And I called the front desk and I said, I want a wake up call. And he said, okay, yeah, 4 o'clock, because I had to go on stage at 6 or whatever. And I was nervous. And I said, really got to make sure I get this call. And he goes, we got you. And that's the feeling to me I want with in jokes and with humor is like, we got you. Like you're safe here. We're going to laugh our heads off. And we might be playful. We might roast and toast each other, but we got you.
Yeah, I think that's really, really powerful, especially when you pair it with that idea of there's a little bit of pain. Like if it's an organization feeling like they need more humor, I'm sure there's like a reason behind that feels
Yeah.
hard. Like, oh, maybe our competitor is more fun and they're stealing our best people. Maybe people don't enjoy working here, and
Yeah.
so they're not having their best ideas or whatever it may be. Like they're feeling that. And then if you can say like, I got you. Let's figure this out and
Yeah.
tell me about what's going on. That's just like a really, really reassuring and like, especially if you can have it from like a voice of competence, a voice of
Yes.
authority and knowledge.
Yeah, you're so right. And this is where I think leaders can play a key role is the root word of funny is fun. And so even if you're someone who's not comfortable doing jokes or stand up or magic tricks, it's okay. If you can help people have fun, um, sometimes I'll have an audience stand up and I'll have them raise their hands up and put even a fake smile on their face. And doing that together, suddenly people start laughing. It's hard to feel bad if you're with a group of people that are having fun together. So the pressure is not on to be, super hysterical and do jokes. The expectation is like, can we laugh together? And I mean, here's someone you would never think of as a comedian, but Mother Teresa, who changed a big piece of the world, she said, a smile is the shortest distance between two people. So I think humor is a shortcut for trust. And one of the things I want to have happen with the quiz is people get their laugh language and they go, oh, I can use wordplay to connect with somebody else at work who loves puns. And so maybe it might be as simple as adding a funny pun or a dad joke in an email that makes somebody else laugh. It's like you just lighten their load a little bit and you just built a bond.
That's a very good point. Like, it is such a quick way to connect with people and also to get into that state of not feeling bad. Like, everybody kind of carries around their set of tasks they're worried about for the day or whatever it may be. And if you can get on the same track of funny, then like you're not going to be thinking about those things while you're having a good laugh.
Totally. And science is just backing this up year after year. Is like literally our bodies release endorphins and stress relievers, and you got the placebo effect. All kinds of these things come together. I think in the Hebrew Bible, it says a merry heart does good like medicine. And now scientists are discovering what I guess it was King Solomon said, I don't know, 3,000 years ago. We're catching up to the simple fact that we do better when we're feeling better. And laughter, Milton Berle, old-time comedian, said, laughter is an instant vacation.
That's a very good point. Yep. Instant vacation takes you out of wherever you're at and pulls you somewhere else. Yeah. And it's funny, like those observations made thousands of years ago. Now we have scientific evidence to be like, oh, well, here's why.
Here's why. Yeah.
But people have always known that, people have always wanted to share stories and sit around a fire and laugh. Like that's been part of culture forever.
I discovered that someone else had this title. It's a great title, but I almost called the early version of the book The Campfire Effect. And it was this idea of sitting around telling stories. And so, I mean, some of my greatest memories of my entire life were like youth camp, where we're doing skits, we're telling stories. It's a talent show. It's like everyone's just kind of doing their way of being funny or having fun. But what you're really doing is you're building cohesion. You're saying, okay, this is a special moment that we are sharing together.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that's a perfect place to kind of wrap things up, because I think that's like a good image to leave people with. Where can people go to take your quiz, check out your book, learn more about you, see other work that you've done in the past as well?
Yeah. Thank you, Josh. I was tempted to, I can't sing it all, but I was tempted to do that old song. I was going to do Hanem, You're a Rock Star, because I want to thank you, not only for the quiz, but just your team obviously cares about helping people get it out right. So if anyone wants to take the quiz and discover their laugh language, they can just go to thelaughterfactor.com. Don't forget the word thelaughterfactor.com. And the book is coming out. It's available on Amazon for pre-order right now. And the book is called The Laughter Factor.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Adam. This was awesome. I really appreciate you sharing all the context and also just the stuff about humor and being funny. I feel like that's super valuable to people.
Oh, it's been a blast. And I feel like we now have created a few in jokes together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thanks, Adam. Appreciate it.
Thank you.